And let's see who is joining us tonight. Afro Sings, welcome back. Welcome back to Celebrity Court, Brian and Simone. I feel like we're family, Adams. Welcome back. Welcome back. Nisha Phillips. It's no Celebrity Court without you, Nisha Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us. SL Warrior, thank you for joining us. The same with you, SL Warrior. Brenda K. Brenda K, always good to see that name when I sign on. JP Mills, you too. And you're right, JP. Everybody hit that like button. Please hit that like button. We need your help. Sandra McGee, always great seeing your name. Val Rice, where you been? Oh my goodness, Val Rice, thank you so much for joining us tonight at Celebrity Court. Tasia Davis, Tasia. Sorry, I keep messing it up. Tasia. All right, welcome back. Love you here. Tina T. Wine, always good to see that name. Tanya McNeil, welcome. I am her. Oh, I am her. Are you new here? If so, welcome. Delaria Washington. That's definitely not new. So good to see your name. Felvia Flowers seems new to me, but hey, we'll take it. Come on in. Pisces Unicorn, where you been, Pisces Unicorn? I miss you wherever you been. Welcome back, Rizlands, like family now. Welcome back. New York Marie, welcome back, 10029. Camille Lindsay. Camille, welcome to Celebrity Court. Oh, Lord, I'm going to mess up all these names. Sharonia, this is me. Saronia K, this is me. Welcome, Saronia. Welcome. AX Michael. Oh, we got some new people. I haven't seen these names before. Welcome. Wani J, welcome. Kania Scott, welcome. Everybody. Erica Cap, I don't want to miss anyone. And user SW8, welcome to Celebrity Court. And tonight is going to be a good one. Tonight, we have 4 headlines that feel like we're written by chaos, but they're argued in real courts. But guess what? We're going to argue it in Celebrity Court tonight. We have a Hollywood legend and his wife. They were murdered, and their own son has ended up in handcuffs. We have a national championship coach goes from the big house to an alleged home invasion. Diddy says Netflix is using stolen footage, but who owns the receipts when cameras never stop rolling? And Trey Songz, once again, Trey Songz is back in Celebrity Court, and he's in the headlines after a late night brawl has turned into a police escort. I'm your judge, Al Reynolds. Remember, this isn't criminal court. This is the court of public opinion. And here I bring the facts. My attorneys bring the law. And you, yes, you, the viewers, you are the jury, and you will decide the fate and the verdict. All right, let's get into it. Joining us tonight, we have attorney Ashley Carter, Shatan Turner, Sean Carter, and Jason Weiss. Counselors, welcome back to Celebrity Court. How's everybody feeling tonight, Ashley? Starting with you.
Great. Great to be back. I missed your alligators.
Attorney Turner.
It's great to be back. Still smiling.
All right, Weiss and Carter, wrap it up on the end. How's everybody feeling tonight?
Feeling great, Your Honor. I'm okay.
Oh,
we'll find out I'm good later. I'm just all right.
All right, court is now in session. All right, just a quick reminder. We have some housekeeping rules. I just want to be very quick. Nobody gets convicted on this show. We do not have the full evidence yet. However, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in real court. And you know we're not real court. But in this courtroom, the court of public opinion, we're asking a different question. What do these stories say about power, access, accountability, and the culture that keeps rewarding mess? All right, chat, I need you to activate tonight. If you're watching live, type in right now where you're watching the show from and tell me, do you trust the justice system more, or do you rely on the internet receipts more? Put it down in the chat, because I'm telling you, we want to know it all, right? Okay, case number 1. We're starting off with a case that honestly is hard to say out loud. Yep, you've been reading about it all over Instagram. Director and actor Rob Reiner, Hollywood royalty, and his wife, activist Michelle Singer Reiner, were found dead in their Brentwood home. Police called it homicide, and the person arrested, yes, you won't believe it, it's their own son, 32-year-old Nick Reiner. Yep, you know Nick Reiner. Nick Reiner's been held without bail. He's been booked on suspicion of murder. Formal charges have not yet been filed, but prosecutors are expected to pursue double murder counts under the California law. Now, context matters, and this family has a very troubled history. Nick has been open about struggles with addiction and homelessness, And he later reconciled with his father, but had an argument with him the night before this tragic incident. But reports suggest they have more than just new tension, arguing that the parents were killed shortly after a new argument. And because the parents are famous and Rob Reiner was politically outspoken, the story immediately dragged into political headlines before we even know all the facts. Now, here's the legal that we need to get out of these lawyers. This is an unlawful killing with malice. So what code does that matter? Does that mean? And two victims can trigger special circumstances, from what I understand. Can't wait for the lawyers to break that down. So I'm going to throw to you, Attorney Ashley Carter, first. Explain to us, what does it mean to have two murders simultaneously and how that will affect his case?
Well, affect his case. It's not just the two simultaneous murders. It's the type of weapon he actually used, the knife. That's also bringing in the special circumstances. Also, there's been an update as of 8 minutes. He's been officially charged with two first-degree murder charges, and he is being held without bail.
Okay, Attorney Carter, I want to go to you. When the suspect is an adult child and the crime is a double family homicide, what does the DA need to, before they finally charge? I guess she's saying that they're charged now, but what is the threshold beyond the emotional shock to actually get that type of charge?
Right. So in any case, you need what's called probable cause. There needs to be more than just you were their troubled son, more than just we saw you arguing, but there has to be some forensic evidence. Now, they don't have to tell us what it is yet. All right, they'll do that when they get to court and they have their hearings. But at some point, they've got to have something that ties him to the crime. So it's either going to be fingerprints on the murder weapon, his footprints and shoe prints in the horrific scene that was left in the aftermath. Something, a video camera, something that ties him to the scene. It's not just a matter of the fact that they had a troubled kid, because we all got troubled kids.
Mm-hmm. Attorney Turner, let me ask you this. Nick has, and we've seen it play out in Hollywood, a history of addiction and mental health instability. In real court, how does that matter, or why does it matter? Is it a defense? Are they arguing capacity or insanity, or does it mostly show up later at sentencing? Because what I noticed was they are not giving him bail, right? Or not allowing him to bond out due to insanity or unstable ability to I guess be held accountable.
Well, the bond issue is tied to the fact that they believe that he's going to be a risk, right? Based on the circumstances. There's two heinous crimes. They were, murdered in cold blood. I think there's still a lot of questions about the hows and the why. It's been reported that they were all at a party together earlier in the evening at Conan O'Brien's house, where he exhibited some very volatile behavior. And so all of those factors collectively influence whether or not bond would be offered. And in this case, it wasn't. The instability or the mental illness, you've heard of innocent by virtue of insanity, right? They would attempt to say that he should not be held accountable for his actions based on his mental capacity. But that's going to be a whole process. He's going to have to get a forensic analysis by a psychiatrist, and he'll have his psychiatrist, they'll have their psychiatrist, and then we'll see how it all plays out in the wash.
Okay, got it. Attorney Weiss, let's close this out with you. We've got politics swirling around this because of who Rob Reiner was publicly. How do lawyers handle the jury pool when the internet has already made up its mind? What tools do they use? Do they change the venue, which happens a lot in Hollywood when it's a Hollywood story? Do they do gag orders? How does that work?
So they're probably going to have to do a gag order, and changing venue is not going to make that much of a difference because everybody throughout the entire United States is aware of what's going on. There's not going to be anywhere in the U.S. that they're not going to go ahead. They're going to ask specific questions during the voir dire, and they're going to have to ask, the jurors to tell the truth and to say, can they go ahead and can they do this without listening to what the news says? Do they have a preconceived opinion? Can they go ahead and look at this, openly and without a decision? So these are all the questions that they're going to ask. I wouldn't be shocked if the court allows them more preemptory challenges based on the high celebrity profile of this and the fact that it's going to be covered, nonstop in the news.
Okay, so legally we're hearing charges must be supported. Mental health may shape the strategy, and publicity can poison a jury pool. Now let me put this, how should I say? Let's put this in public opinion. In public opinion, algorithms, jump down in the chat and tell us, what do you guys think about this? Do you feel like you think that he can't hide behind the whole public mental health thing because it's a drug addiction? Do you think he should be held at a different standard? What are your thoughts? Drop down in the chat, because in the real court, Nick Reiner is presumed innocent until guilty, right? But in public court of public opinion, we can have our opinion. Drop down in the chat. I want to know, is number one, lawyers, or let's go to the lawyers. Lawyers, in your opinion, do we not have, one, enough facts yet? Two, do you feel like the system failed him? Or three, do you feel like he's guilty in public opinion? What do you think, lawyers? Let's start with you, Jason.
So I think we have some collateral that I'd like to see as well. But, look, I think we don't have enough information at this point in time.
Okay, Attorney Carter.
Oh, I'm generally skeptical of law enforcement and prosecutors, et cetera. I want them to prove it to me. This isn't the case where they pulled some poor brother, out and made him a scapegoat. This is a rich white guy, right? A son of a rich white guy. So chances are, if they're going to prosecute him, they've got the goods.
Okay, Attorney Turner.
I agree with Attorney Carter. And as I said before, there's this evidence or story that they had been involved in some sort of fight or kerfluffle at Conan O'Brien's house. And so I think that the evidence is going to bear out that Nick had a history of mental illness, a history of violence. He had been treated, believed he was in recovery. However, he relapsed, and somehow that resulted in the death of his parents. I think the video may show us a little bit more to that regard.
Okay, let's take a look.
Today, I'm here to announce that our office will be filing charges against Nick Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, actor-director Rob Reiner, and photographer-producer Michelle Singer Reiner. These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty.
All right, Attorney Carter, explain to me why, because of using a knife, they're going for life in prison or possible death penalty. Attorney Carter.
Sean Carter or Ashley?
Attorney Carter, Sean Carter, sorry.
The reason that the knife is a big deal, because it sounds bizarre, right? There are other more dangerous weapons, but the idea is that to unalive someone with a knife, it requires a special level of callousness, right? I mean, it's different to pull a trigger from far away than to actually get up close and really do that type of thing. And so we consider those people to be even more dangerous if you have the ability to unalive someone in that way. So that's why you get the special circumstances and possibly the death penalty.
All right, let's read what some of the comments are. SL Warrior said, I agree, but he's rich. X Michelle or Michael says, the man during the press briefing looks like he lunches with MAGA on the weekend. Erica P said he's guilty, threw the book at him and put him in rehab. Lady Aries says, who are these people? Oh, Lady Aries, you got to go to Instagram. Brenda K says, hey, should be held accountable just like everyone else. I agree so too. And Val Rice, did his sister give a statement? Did she see anything, any witnesses or cameras? All right, this is going to get hotter by the day. Let's make sure we stay tuned. All right, we're going to shift from a family tragedy to more power, access, and a man who allegedly couldn't accept no at somebody's front door. Yep, we're talking about him. The next story is about what happens when someone's public power collides with someone else's private boundaries. Sharon Moore, yep, fresh off a coach in Michigan to a national championship, is now the former head coach. He was reportedly fired for cause over an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. And now he's been arrested and charged with third-degree home invasion, stalking in a domestic relationship, and breaking and entering in a domestic relationship involving a woman he'd been seeing for years. Now, prosecutors allege that after the relationship soured, he repeatedly showed up at her home uninvited, and on at least one occasion entered her residence without permission. Now, he's out on a $25,000 bond, but the allegations are serious, and we keep on learning more and more and more about this case as his career fallout is already loud. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Ashley Carter. We understand that you have all the details on this case. What is going on with a coach who had $3 million on the line and a multi-year contract as well as a championship? What's happening here, Ashley Carter?
Well, first of all, he had $27.5 million on the line, almost a $30 million contract. And he's only done 2 of those 5 years. Because of what he has done, it's considered a forfeiture. Like, they don't have to buy him out when you are fired with cause, because that's one element of this story. Because he was fired with cause, having an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate. He was fired with cause. So they don't have to pay him. He's out of there. So that's the contractual part of this. The criminal part of this, which literally happened in real time. So the word on the street is, allegedly, he had already paid her some hush money and was trying to fire her. Okay. So then on Monday, she broke up with him. And by Wednesday morning, she was in the office with the receipt saying, hey, he's having an inappropriate relationship with me. And so they fire him. And later that night is when he goes to the house and threatens to unalive himself with a knife in front of her. So that is the sequence. I'm sure divorce may be pending too. So he's got family law, contract law, criminal law. I mean, all this for, what do you call what do you guys call the sex on this show? The Tootsie Cat. All this for Tootsie Cat, and you're married with 3 children. So,
all right, let's go to you, Attorney Turner. I want to hear what you got to say about this. Attorney Turner, the other female lawyer on here, what separates I Want Closure from felony home invasion? He usually is always welcome there. I'm confused.
Well, as the timeline Attorney Carter pointed out, indicates is he was welcome until he wasn't. So his first sign that he wasn't welcome is when she reported him to the University of Michigan and said, I'm having an inappropriate relationship. That was his sign to not come back. But no, that's not what he decided to do. He said, I'm going to come for a little visit. I'm going to let myself in, and then I'm going to make threats. And you could tell by that little blonde girl over to the right, she is not here for it, right? There were rumors of their relationship before they got found out, and then all of a sudden it blew up. And so I do not know what his intention was. All I know is that I've never had nearly $30 million on the line. And so if someone was responsible for taking $30 million away from me, I might go crazy too. I might go to their house and threaten to do some things, just like he did. But he messed up, and now he's bleeped up his entire life.
All right, Rizlan 11 says, so she kept her job and he did not. That's suspicious. I agree, Rizlan. I think what's good for the goose is good for her as well. Let's see. Nisha Phillips says, first, he gave her a 50% raise. It was good and some extra APG. Michelle said he lost all for the most basic looking a woman in this town. Shaking my head. All right, but seriously, let's go to you, Attorney Weiss. I want to know this because this is interesting. All right, like Attorney Carter said, he was fired for cause, but that was before these criminal charges. So legally, can these allegations affect any employment disputes or contract disputes or fight that he would argue? And can a school use subsequent criminal conduct to justify for cause, even though they use for cause before the criminal?
So you got to remember the timing. They started with the for cause. They had cause, they had whatever. This is all just going to make their case that much stronger. The criminal charges, yes, it's going to support the for cause. You couldn't go ahead and have the criminal charges come later and say, oh, it was for cause because of something that happened afterwards. So the for cause, the school determined they had cause, they fired him, and that now this is just the icing on top of the cake or the cherry on top of the sundae. So it's all going to come out, and like the other attorneys have said, this was an expensive piece of Tootsie Cat.
All right, Attorney Carter, I want you to wrap this up for us and I want you to take your lawyer hat off, Sean Carter. I want you to wrap this up for us. Take your lawyer hat off. Tell us what's really going on here. Because if she was so disturbed and didn't want him around anymore, why didn't she get a protective order? Why didn't she get a restraining order? What's going on? Give me your non-lawyer aspect of what's going on in this case.
What's going on here is that, remember, the thing that's interesting to me is that originally the University of Michigan looked into this. The rumor is that a DoorDash person that delivered pizza or delivered something to their house there, saw the two of them together, told the university, hey, your head coach is sleeping with the assistant. And the University of Michigan looked into it. And if both of them were interviewed and they told the University of Michigan, they lying on us. We ain't nothing but friends. We don't do nothing like that. I don't even like him like that. And then when the relationship went bad, she says, oh, yeah, I did. And sure enough, brought the receipts, right? And so from her standpoint, it's kind of interesting because she would normally be considered the victim in this situation. It's a power imbalance. And it's simply that if your boss hits on you, even if you originally reciprocate, you always have a way to be able to say, hey, I was forced into this. Here, though, she has a problem where the university is probably going to get rid of her because she lied to them when they originally tried to investigate it. So they said, look, we have a policy on the wall that says you don't have to sleep with his nasty butt. And then we asked you about it and you still lied. It's hard to then go back. And by the way, they gave you a bunch of extra money. He gave you a bunch of extra money, too. Now, it's going to be hard for her to be the victim here. But the university has to be careful because there's still sexual harassment. And even if you break the policy as this subordinate employee, the university could still be held liable, particularly when they hired this crazy man, right, to go to be their head football coach, because they put this man in charge of a whole football program, and his wife can't even trust him.
Well, you know what? I just feel like something in the milk ain't clean here. But I agree with Miss P8881, and I want to ask you, Shaitan. Miss P8881 says, is the reason he kept his job was because he's her boss? What do you guys think? I don't understand that. Attorney,
I think she meant she.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think she is keeping her job for now, but I also want to fill in the blank with Sean Carter. Allegedly, it was also a plan B that was DoorDashed.
Right.
So,
That's right. It's a plan B. You're right.
Plan B was DoorDash to the school, though.
You're
yes,
right, you're
so
right.
that's part of the investigation. And a little insight onto why you think something isn't right about this. The word on the street is high-level donors and boosters of the school did not care for him. And they were already paying private detectives to figure out what was going on in this relationship. They wanted to get him out. So let's say all this other stuff hadn't happened. They were already looking to get him out. And he just unfortunately played right into their hands.
Oh, wow. Dom on top of Dom on top of Dom on top of Dom.
And the other thing, Your Honor, you had asked about his crazy escapades at her apartment and how that might play into this.
Right.
I think if he just put the nail in the coffin, that he has no legitimate basis for objecting to the fact that he was fired for cause for being in an inappropriate relationship with this girl, because him being over there acting like a crazy person is exhibit A. And then also there's a morals clause in the contract. And so the fact that he was arrested also would have resulted in this termination. And so he just wrapped this up in a bow for them. The only person who I'd like to talk to is his wife, right? Because how much money does he actually have? I think she needs to get hers now, right? Get out of this whole mess, even though they have these cute little kids, because he's going to be paying legal fees upon legal fees. He might have to pay that girl personally from, in addition to her claims against the university. She might also sue him. So this is going to be messy for him. And it's so unfortunate. He is 39 years old, had one of the best jobs in football, and had been tapped by the prior coach. And here he goes acting a fool for some Tootsie Cat. Like, come on now. Let's do
First black coach. He made history. first black coach that they ever
at
had. He'll
Michigan,
probably
and
the
the fact
last.
that he came. Remember, he started out as a defensive coach, right? He
Right.
worked his way through the
Right.
system all the way up to head coach. This is just a sad story, but it just seems like this is the year of taking the big black man down in sports.
This is the year of the big black man being stupid in sports. I'm just saying. Ain't nobody take him down.
Right.
Please
And Shannon had the nerve. Shannon Sharp had the nerve to try to chime in like, oh, well, 7 months ago I was in this position. I said, Shannon, please sit this one out.
take
Please.
several seats.
You gave a 20-year-old white woman close to probably $30 million allegedly to settle a $50 million.
Woo!
Please stop. Please stop.
All right, Erica P says Plan B. New York Marie says,
Right,
"Oh
Plan
my
B.
God, how dumb." Taylor Davis says, "Dumb." Rizlan 11 says, "Well, Michigan don't play. They were looking for a reason. I'm sure they don't play." Pisces Unicorn said he made it easy for them. You're right about that. Erica P said, all I got a HBCU should have worked there. I'm just saying. Karen P says Coach Harbaugh opened the door for former Coach Moore. They didn't want him. Let's see. Jerome Street says done and dumb. Brenda K said, I agree with you, Attorney Turner. Damn. And Nisha Phillips says he lost all his endorsements. He can't pay nobody nothing, all for some extra. It's ridiculous. All right. This is a sad story. So young. Jason, in your professional opinion, will he be able to work in Division I football ever again?
Probably not, because nobody's going to go ahead and trust him to be around staff, to be around co-eds, to be around whatever. Maybe Division II, maybe Division III, maybe Pop Warner, but got to be careful that it's not a co-ed team.
All right, lawyers, let me ask you this. So what do we think? Is this one, an overcharged breakup drama? Is this two, clearly a criminal boundary cross, or do we need more facts? Do we want more facts? Attorney Turner, what say you?
I have all the facts that I need to suggest that he exhibited poor judgment. He deserved to get fired and deserved to get arrested.
All right, Attorney Ashley Carter, what say you?
I'm with Attorney Turner. This is the one few time I would say I have all the facts I need. This doesn't even need to go to trial. Guilty on all fronts.
Sean Carter.
This just proves once again that Tootsie Cat is undefeated. That's just the bottom line. You know what? He beat Ohio State last year, but he couldn't beat Tootsie Cat, right? And that's just going to do the way it works.
Hey, all right, Weiss.
He is a fool who acted foolishly, and he is going to continue to fall.
This is so sad. All right, everybody, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to also hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to jump down in the comments, because as always, we love hearing from you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and let's just keep it on moving. We're going to go from front doors to hard drives, because the next case asks a question every celebrity hates. If cameras follow you everywhere, who owns what they capture? All right, let's talk about a different type of evidence, and it's called footage. Netflix dropped a docuseries laying out assault and trafficking allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. And part of what's fueling the controversy is intimate-looking hotel footage captured days before his arrest. Now, Diddy calls the footage stolen. His longtime videographer suggests blame belongs elsewhere, like a backup cameraman who substituted for him. Netflix and the director says they acquired it legally. So now we've got a bit of a battle over receipts, and the receipts are literally video. So what is exactly going on here? I want to go to you, Sean Carter, because I need to know, in this legal battlefield, who owned the footage if it was a substitute? What contracts or NDAs controlled it? And I know I learned here on this show that if you have an NDA, if it becomes criminal, it strikes it out, right? And does newsworthiness protect Netflix usage? So what are your thoughts here? And give us the background on how this was obtained, the footage, and was it legally done correctly?
Well, and that's going to be the question, whether it was legally done correctly. My understanding is that what's being claimed here is that the footage got into 50 Cent's hands, or the producers of that documentary's hands, through not the person who was originally working with Diddy, but a backup cameraman. So he had the one person working with him, and then who had an agreement with, and then a second guy came in because the first guy couldn't be there or whatever. And they said that guy took the footage over to 50, and then they put it in the documentary. Now, normally when Netflix is presented with this type of opportunity, say, hey, we're going to give you, we're going to let you put your show on our air, on our network. Then what they do is they don't have time to go through all this stuff, but they say, hey, all right, you're going to sign an agreement with us that says if this is not legally obtained, then you're going to pay us back for whoever sues us, right? So they got indemnification from 50's production company and whoever that says it gives them protection. And fortunately, 50 has enough money to pay Diddy if they stole the footage. But the real issue is this: did the backup cameraman have the right to sell that to the documentary people? And there's two reasons why they could. One, he has a work for hire agreement, which says, I work for you, I'll shoot this for you, but you have to pay me. If you don't pay your work for hire person, then they own the footage because it's theirs. All right. Or there's a situation you said before about public interest. But normally that's for real stuff of public interest to everybody, not just salacious, do I have the tea on Diddy? That's the kind of footage you'd have like Marion Barry. Remember when he got caught in the hotel room? That's the kind of footage that's public interest, where even if you don't have a copyright to it, you can publish it because it affects public policy. Diddy's is not really to that level, but real question is going to be, is there a contract that says who owns the stuff? And if not, then there's probably a problem. Diddy's got to produce a contract that says I own it. But if he can't produce that, then it's going to be on Netflix and 50's,
forever.
Right? Yeah, it's going to be rough.
Right, Attorney Turner, let me ask you this. Based on what Attorney Carter said, so Attorney Turner, if you were Diddy's legal team, what's the strongest claim? Would it be a copyright infringement? Would it be a breach of contract? Would it be conversion or theft? Would it be trade secrets or something else? What would be your strongest claim if you were Diddy's legal team right now?
So I'd have to give Diddy advice as his counsel. The first thing I would say is, you are screwed because it's already out there and the damage to your reputation is considerable. If you're trying to attack it, right, this is like how many legal claims will stick, right? It's one of those things in law school where they give you this big fact pattern and you have to spot the issues because there's enough legal claims to go around. First, you would have his potential claims against Netflix as the one that published this ultimately aired. Then you would also have your claims against 50, who is leading the charge against Pussycat. It's a close call. Who's on Pussycat or 50? Because 50 has taken this and capitalized on it in a way that nobody really saw coming. It was not on Diddy's bingo card. And so against 50 Cent, he would sue and try to get not trademark infringement, but copyright infringement and breach of contract or tortious interference with the contract that he allegedly had with this for hire cameraman. Now, the for hire cameraman, as Attorney Carter indicated, he's saying that he did not get paid. And so as a result, that invalidated the contract that he had with 50. So someone would have to analyze what's in that document. Was he paid? Was there, did it get lost in the mail? Does it say anything about who actually owns the footage once it's done? You have to get into the details. Breach of contract claims are all a function of the words on the paper to figure out what the exposure is. And then finally, I think this isn't a very strong claim for Diddy. He can't get defamation because it's true. And based on what came out in the trial, there's not enough baby oil to smooth over the potential for a false light claim that he might have. But those were all things that I would throw out there if I was a first-year law student in torts class. This would be fun. I wish I was teaching law school again.
All right, really quickly, Jason, let's get to you. Netflix will argue newsworthiness and First Amendment protection. Where do courts usually draw the line between private footage and public interest when the subject is a public figure facing serious allegations, especially when you creating content, which in the court of public opinion is you're creating documentation?
So again, this really isn't a public interest piece. I mean, I understand that, everybody wants to hear about Diddy and they want to read about it and they want to do it, but it's not newsworthy. It's not public piece. And basically what it's going to boil down to is, was that cameraman paid? And if not, he had every right to do it. Or was there a license agreement where he was able to do this? Because remember, if he just came out there, shot the stuff and left, that's his footage. He could do with it what he wants. And that's basically what he's claiming. I went out, I was supposed to do something. They breached the contract. They didn't pay me. Now I could do with it what I want. They should have just paid him his couple of grand for the camera work for the day. And this all would have been for nothing.
All right, now from hotel hallways to nightclub hallways, because our last case is about what happens when the night ends and the police report begins. Our final case tonight involves a name that just can't stop showing up in headlines. Yep, you heard it correctly, Trey Songz. Prosecutors in Manhattan say around 4:25 a.m., staff at Drama nightclub told Trey the party was over and time to leave. They allege he got needlessly irate and punched a club employee in the face. Shortly after, a Myra Mediterranean hookah lounge, prosecutors say that another incident involving $1,500 in property damage. He was arrested, arraigned, and released without bail, and an order of protection was issued in the favor of the employee. Trey, meanwhile, claims he was the one assaulted, and he says the conflicts involves money dispute tied to the event. Okay, bailiff, take it away. Let's see what you got.
I'm saying under what charges?
I'll let you know.
You have to read him his rights and let him know
We're
what
not
he's
asking.
arrested.
We're not knowing.
Sir, can I not pay? What?
You have to.
All right, bring him out.
I didn't touch anybody.
Come.
You have to. Hold up.
Come.
You just said he
I-
didn't swing.
listen.
Listen to me. I need you to be away from me. You're going to be an OJ if you come near me. You've already arrested him. I will
I
let you
need
know
to
what
be
it is.
stand right for his safety. I need to
As long as
witness
you're out of the
what's
way.
going on.
I'm with it too. I'm with it too.
Brother,
Ready? Come on.
mama,
Y'all
excuse
see the
me.
footage? How y'all
Come
arresting him?
on.
I understand, Miss Officer.
I didn't call.
Can
I was
somebody
the one
read
that
him his
called.
rights and let him know
I
what's
am
going
asking.
on?
They just told me I
I'm
could
not asking him
pay.
any questions.
They
But
told
you
me I
placed him
could
under
pay.
arrest. You just told him he's under arrest without
Can I
reading him
not
his
pay,
rights.
Sir, that opportunity is gone now. That opportunity is gone now.
brother?
You just told him he's under.
All right, Ashley Carter, let's go to you. Seems like he's a little bit intoxicated right there, feeling really good. So this is my question really quickly, Ashley. How important is the surveillance video in the nightclub cases? And without clean footage, are these cases mostly he say, she said?
I don't know if without clean foot. I think if you have any footage showing the incident you're alleging as a prosecutor, you can use it. I mean, security footage is fair game for prosecutors. I mean, that's why they have it. That's why police officers have cameras on, that they need to be able to access that. I think the bigger issue, the bigger story of this is that Trey Songz has a pattern with having issues in clubs and having issues against women, like women in clubs. I mean, he has several civil settlements where he's allegedly assaulted women, and he has either settled them or somehow they've been quietly dismissed. And then, like I said, he has club issues. He's always, and I mean, at this point, someone do an age check for me. I feel like Trey Songz should be getting ready to hit 40. Like, I'm just not sure why he is still living this very like Playboy lifestyle where he's just with all these
Attorney
women.
Sean Carter, Ashley talks about this history in the public eye involving altercations and allegations. How much of his prior incidents can prosecutors bring in, and what gets excluded as improper, other bad acts of evidence that they can't bring in?
See, unfortunately, we all know in the court of public opinion that Trey's a fool. But unfortunately, the law doesn't allow you to just bring in all this information. The only way to really ever come in is if Trey says, hey, gets on the stand and says, I'd never do something like that. I'd never hit nobody. And then they could bring it in to impeach him. But generally speaking, the court can't just bring in evidence, of prior bad acts. So that's why he keeps getting away with stuff, because no one could sort of, piece this pattern together. I can piece it together. He has that song called "The Neighbors Know My Name," and the reason neighbors know your name is because the police are always outside your door.
So true. All right, but when your name keeps popping up at 4 a.m. around conflict, the public starts to see a pattern. even before a judge does. And in this court of public opinion, you're not going to keep on getting all those chances. All right, really quickly, we're going to move to this part of the show where you, the jury, our algoritors, get to decide who's guilty and not guilty, and only you get to decide. All right, this is your dedicated segment. No lawyer talk, no extra commentary. This is where you deliberate. Drop your verdicts in the chat, and we're going to decide who's guilty or not guilty. All right, algoritors, first up, Nick Reiner. What's your public opinion? Is he guilty or not guilty? 1, not enough facts yet. 2, the system failed him, or he is guilty in public opinion. Let's look at the chat and see what you're saying. Is he guilty or not guilty in public opinion? We're talking about Nick Reiner. Is he guilty or not guilty? Let's see. Karen says guilty. Need more to go to rehab. Nisha Phillips. This show is fun. Guilty or not guilty? We got 1 guilty. We got 2 guilties, 2 guilties, 3 guilties. With 3 guilties, we're going to find Nick right now in public opinion guilty of killing his parents. Next up, we have Sharon Moore. Is Sharon Moore guilty of being stupid or guilty or not guilty for the criminal boundaries he's crossing? Is Sharon Moore guilty or not guilty? We got a unanimous guilty. All right, Sharon Moore in the court of public opinion, you are found guilty of charges for being stupid. Next up, Diddy versus Netflix. Is the videographer guilty or not guilty of stealing the video? Guilty or not guilty? What does the court of public opinion say? Come on, algoriters. Is he guilty or not guilty? Guilty or not guilty? Guilty and stupid. Guilty. All right. So you're going to find the videographer is guilty for stealing it, or 50 Cent. I'm sorry. Is 50 Cent guilty of stealing it or not guilty of stealing it? Let's go back. All right. Not guilty. So is 50 Cent guilty of stealing it or not guilty? All right. 2 not guilties in this court of public opinion. We're going to find 50 Cent not guilty for stealing the video. And last but not least, Trey Songz. Is he guilty or not guilty of always having a problem at the club? Drop down in the chat. Is he guilty or not guilty for always having a problem in the club? Not guilty. Spilled that tea. Not guilty. Let's see. Trey better not get on. Guilty. All right, guilty. We're going to find Trey Songz guilty for this anger management that he has. Whew, that was quick. All right, everybody. Tonight, we talked about the most extreme versions of family tragedy, a coach whose alleged behavior followed him off the field, a mogul trying to reclaim control of his narrative, and an R&B star who keeps ending the night in handcuffs instead of encores. Here in the court of celebrity and public opinion, nobody goes to jail, but reputations definitely get sentenced. Remember, in real court, these folks are definitely innocent until proven guilty. In this court, however, we're asking a different question. What do their choices say about power, responsibility, and the culture we all consume? Think about it, and you decide. In the court of public opinion, are they guilty or not guilty? I'm Judge Al Reynolds. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your verdicts below and tell us which case you want on the docket next show Thursday. Court is now adjourned.